Good afternoon, City of Port Aransas, and welcome to the Brown Bag Luncheon Lecture. I'm Jordan Brewster, and I'm the Director of Photography and Editor for these online events. And also, I am a local actor, director, writer, and singer for many local theaters. And that is what I'd like to talk to you about today. So I was born here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and raised in Portland, Texas. And raised in Portland, Texas. I went to high school here at Gregory Portland High School. I'm class of 2011, actually. And from a very early age, I was interested in performing. I started off singing in church, leading singing for the congregation, and that was like early on, like at the age of 3. And then in 4th grade, I started auditioning for the high school variety show at GP High School called Follies, and I was cast, of course, there, and I would always sing a kind of upbeat, showy, hammy number. Like the second year I did it, it was Follies Salutes the 60s, I believe. And I did a Jerry Lee Lewis Great Balls of Fire performance at like, a 5th grade age, however old 5th graders are, 10 or 11, I think. I would ham it up though, and the audience would react to it, and that would make me want to give them more. And I've over the years cultivated that energy that I feed off of from the audience. But after high school, I started performing in local productions like at Harbor Playhouse in Corpus Christi, Aurora Arts Theater in Corpus as well, the Rialto Theater in Aransas Pass. I was going to school at Del Mar College, where I was majoring in drama at the time, and I did a lot of shows there at Del Mar. And then, of course, I did many shows at the Port Aransas Community Theater here locally. We call it PECT. And there I really started to cultivate connections and really thrived and found a safe environment to act and direct and the like. Really, I found my second home there at PACT. Yeah, so I did a lot of shows at PACT before I moved up north. My first show there was in 2013, and it was Shrek the Musical, which I still hear about nowadays. It was a well-received production, and my performance in it was well-received. Probably my defining moment at PACT, honestly. Just a very high-energy character that I played. I went for Lord Farquaad initially, who is he's a supporting character. He's the villain of the show, but a very, very funny villain character. Hilarious role, with a very large, rich tenor baritone voice, generally, and a physical role, definitely, because he walks on his knees and dances on his knees throughout the show because in the movie, if you've seen the movie, Lord Farquaad is very, very short. So most actors get down on their knees to play the role. I myself am a pretty short actor in general. I'm 5'5", which is very short. And I tend to get the character roles, sidekick roles, comedic roles. That being said, the role I ended up being cast as was Donkey, which I was not expecting. And I said, okay. I took the role on. I was a little scared to take the role on, but I did. And it was definitely a unique performance. It stretched me as an actor. I usually don't go that outside of the box and off the walls with my energy, or at least up until that point, I didn't. But that's what you need for that role. He's off the walls. He's annoying. He's funny. And I still, like I said, I still hear about it nowadays. You're the guy that played Donkey. So that was my first shot at doing shows at Pact. My second role at Pact was in Godspell, which is a musical based on the Gospel of Matthew. And I played Jesus. But that show was interesting because each actor got the chance to direct some of the scenes that they were in and choreograph songs for that show. So I, playing Jesus, got to direct all the scenes where Jesus sang in, and I got to choreograph the numbers for those scenes. So I choreographed a tap dance number for the song All for the Best, which is, I don't know if it's been done before or not, but it just came to me. It sounds like a song that needs tap. And of course, both of those shows were put on by Ken Yarbrough, the director of those two shows. And you don't talk about Pact without mentioning Ken. People don't think of Pact without mentioning Ken. He's the life and breath and energy of Pact. He still is. He was then. He still is. He brought me in to Pact through Shrek, since he was the director. Yeah, he's the driving energy at Pact, and he continues to make sure that Pact is relevant and stays afloat. So anyway, Ken cast me as Donkey, and then Ken cast me in another show at Harbor Playhouse just before Godspell, called Spamalot. And that was just a blast. Just a very fun show. Truly was a blast. I played like 8 different characters in one show. it really set me off for the future when I would play multiple characters in one show many times in my career, which is really what I enjoy doing. It's a lot of fun. Incidentally, Ken Yarbrough does a very good job with that same thing as well. He's a very good character actor. So he also directed Godspell. So you'll hear a lot about him through this video. Right after Godspell, I did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at PACT. I got to direct that show. Unfortunately, we didn't get the turnout I expected, and I ended up playing Snoopy in that show, which honestly, I wouldn't change it and do the show any other way. I wouldn't change what happened. I was so happy I got to play Snoopy and direct, and it gave me moments where I could improv a little and play around on the set and make people laugh, sometimes on the stage as well as in the audience. But directing it gave me the opportunity to just say, I can do whatever I want with this. That was a really fun show. My first big directing opportunity, though. I had done some directing here and there in high school. It wasn't anything of note. Godspell, like I said, I had a few scenes here and there, but this was my big enchilada to tackle. And I had a lot of help from Ken, who was in the show. He played Charlie Brown. Yeah, but I had lots of help from numerous people, which you'll find as a director is always the case. You're not the only hero here. There are a lot of unsung heroes, and you gotta let them do their job. After Charlie Brown, at PACT, I did Bye Bye Birdie the next year, which was a lot of fun. I love the 50s and 60s type of show. Judging by my hair, I'm a very 50s type, but and 60s type. I got to play in Bye Bye Birdie the title role, Conrad Birdie, and he's if you don't know the show, he's the Elvis Presley type of character. Oh, thank you very much. Right. So that was cool and fun and challenging. Taking on an icon like Elvis is not an easy task. I'm a tenor, which is kind of a higher voiced male, and Birdie is a little more of a baritone bass, so it challenged me to stretch my range a little more. So directly after Birdie, I got to go to school at Rockford University, which is a private liberal arts college about 2 hours from Chicago, and about 30 minutes from Wisconsin, I believe. Not very far from Wisconsin. And that was, first of all, a total change, a total just a life-changing experience in many ways. The obvious one being adapting to the cold weather, being a Texan, adapting to people's adapting to people's pace. Everybody moves a little faster there. They talk a little faster. Their brain runs a little more. And I'm a Texan. I got a slow draw. So that was interesting. But yeah, my time at Rockford University was incredible. I was a musical theater major. Okay. And I was on a very big scholarship, talent scholarship, that I had to audition for. And it was just grand being there. My first semester at RU, I guess I was a sophomore, junior, somewhere in the middle there, because I spent a few years trying to get my credits in that I was missing. So, that being said, my first semester, really the first musical that they did at RU, I was cast in, which was Forever Plaid. I played Jinx, who is the high tenor in a barbershop quartet. Actually, the barbershop quartet is they're dead. They came back from heaven to perform their very last performance here on Earth in this show. So I got to play Jinx. He's a very weird character who has a lot of nosebleeds throughout the show, and sometimes they say it's because he tries to sing so high that he gets a nosebleed. But that show was also a bit challenging because I had to learn how to play the accordion in about a month, or possibly a month and a half of rehearsal time. So I learned the basics of accordion playing. I used a lot of my piano skills that I already knew to help me with that. Because the accordion, at least the accordion I was using, had a little keyboard on the side here that you would play some of the keys, and it would play a chord or a note of some sort. So that was challenging, to say the least. But yeah, I've played the piano since I was in second grade, so before I even started doing theater, I was a pianist. But I never liked, Bach or anything classical. I always wanted to play what I wanted to play, which was 50s music, 60s music, Motown, barbershop, doo-wop, that sort of thing. And I loved at the time, and I still love sitting down and playing the piano for myself and singing those songs. Accompanying myself is what we call it.
Southern Baptist revivals. Rock my soul. Rock my soul.
But it was a really fulfilling production for me, because obviously I love the 50s music and the 60s music, which this show lies right in that. But also, it's very similar to the show Jersey Boys, which is about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and that's a real dream show of mine to do. I want to play Frankie Valli one day, hopefully before I'm too old to play him. But it's a very fun show, and Forever Plaid was a very fun show. So after that, I did a French farce called A Flea in Her Ear, which was cool. I played an old man in that. Then I had probably my most successful year at RU and elsewhere, where I was cast in Xanadu, which is a very fun 80s musical. And then I did a murder mystery comedy called Death Trap, and I played the character role in that show, the lawyer. Then after that, I got to play a very meaty supporting role in a Shakespearean production, Richard III, one of his great productions, shows, among his top 3, I think. I think it's his second longest production play that he wrote. I played Lord William Hastings, who is a very purple character, I would call it. He's very passionate and very arrogant at times, and very stupid, a bit of a bumbling fool at times. But more than anything, I would say his purple prose is what defines him. He's very passionate. Really a cool role, a change for me in what I normally do. But that would probably set me off for more of the work I do now that I enjoy doing, which is stuff with a little more meat on it to chew as an actor. Then right after I did Richard III, I did an operetta called Candide, which is an operetta by Leonard Bernstein. If you don't know Leonard Bernstein, he wrote West Side Story, which everybody knows, or most people do. And Candide is really not too popular of a show. It's done every now and then, but it's really not that popular. I think its flaw is that it's had so many changes throughout history. There's I think I heard there's 6 different versions of the show out there, which is a lot, a great deal. And not like, oh, this production was done this way in London and this was done this way in on Broadway. No, it's the type of show that has 6 different scripts and 6 different versions where this song is in one show and not in another show, but they replace it with some other song. It's that type of a show. So I think that goes along with it not being too successful. Because it's a really confused sell. Really hard to pinpoint which version you're doing, and if I remember correctly, I was cast in 4 different roles originally in that musical operetta, Candide, which were Hugo, Don Issachar, Father Bernard, and Judge Carlos. That was initially what I was cast as, and then we had an actor drop. They ended up having auditions for this role, which they don't normally do. They normally have you come in with a piece, a song of your own choice. It's not from the show. It has to be in the style of the show. You come in and you sing it, and they cast you based on what you give them. You don't go for any particular role. But in this instance, 5 or 6 guys came in and had to sing this role, and it was a very high tenor opera singing role. And I was fortunate enough to be the only guy that could hit that B flat, classically at least. I got cast in that role, which was Captain Vanderdinder. So I was 5 roles by the time we got the show up and going. So that was my second semester of college, and I was very fortunate during that summer to have been offered a contract to work for a professional theater company in Ohio called Trumpet in the Land. They do outdoor historical drama there, as well as some musicals. They're a repertory theater, so they do, one show one night and another show the next night and another show after that. So their main production is called Trumpet in the Land, and it's a show about the Native Americans in the area and the travesties that happened to them. It's a very honest play in some ways. Then after that, we did Bye Bye Birdie. I got to do Bye Bye Birdie again. And I understudied the character role, which is Mr. McAfee, Harry McAfee, originally played by Paul Lend. So that was a great deal of fun. And I did a little children's theater play there at Trumpet in the Land called Dorothy Meets Alice, and I got to play the White Rabbit and do a lot of rabbit acting like that. So that was a good deal of fun, and it really cool to do a pro theater, type of environment. Anyway, my final semester of college, I did Carrie the Musical, which is a very edgy, intense show. I played Billy Nolan, who is the bully of the show, and I played him as a punk rocker. That was my Jordan's take on the role. Grew my hair out down to here. Very, very interesting time. Then after that was Techies the Musical. The college was given the opportunity to work with famous lyricist and songwriter Carner and Gregor, Sam Carner and Derek Gregor. And they wrote a show for us to workshop, actually, which was an incredible experience. The show was called Techies the Musical, and they actually wrote a song with me in mind called Single Threat, which is talking about an actor who can't sing and can't dance, but he sure as heck is a great actor. And later on in the song, he discovers, well, if I take on a role who has to be a really great singer and actor, maybe I can act like I'm a really great singer and an actor, and he does, and that's the humor of the song, I suppose. But that was cool to have a song written with me in mind.
Single threat. Can't sing, can't dance, but can I act? You bet! Just give me a chance.
And what was even cooler was being able to perform the workshop production of the show in New York City. An incredible experience. I had never been to New York before that, and it was a lovely time. Also, a very different time. A very new experience for me. And finally, just after I did Techies with Carner and Gregor, I got to do my senior capstone project at RU, which the requirements are that you write and direct your own musical and star in it. A one-man musical, actually. You're allowed to have one other character, but their interaction with you and their time on stage has to be minimal. But I had a really fun time and really really challenging time writing that show, which was A Ship Without a Sail. Yeah, and it's based on the songwriting duo from the 1930s and 40s, Rodgers and Hart. And Rodgers later on went to work with Hammerstein, which Rodgers and Hammerstein, and you'll remember their shows, The Sound of Music, Oklahoma, Carousel, some really great things that Rodgers and Hammerstein did. But Hart, he's a little less known to people. And he had a very tragic life, but he wrote songs like Blue Moon, Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone. And he was the lyricist, of course, and he wrote Blue Moon. He wrote A Ship Without a Sail, Johnny One Note, Falling in Love with Love. He wrote a lot of jazz standards that are really popular. Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald sang a lot of his stuff. But he actually has a tragic story. He was an alcoholic, closeted homosexual, and a just he never had a romantic partner in his life. The only love that he knew was with his mother, and he was, like I said, an alcoholic and very self-destructive. And one night he wandered out in the cold, snowy New York weather, and he was drunk, of course, and he passed out and was found the next day, freezing, shivering, out in the wilderness. They took him to the hospital, and he died of pneumonia at the age of 43. But he was a funny, interesting little man. He was short, very well known for being short, 5 foot tall, I believe. But he wrote some incredible music, and he has an incredibly sad, bittersweet story. Actually, the inciting moment in the show was when, and this happened in real life, Richard Rodgers, came to Lawrence and basically told him pointed out how drunk and out of control he was getting, how his depression was spiraling and out of control, right? And he offered to him the opportunity to write and collaborate with him on a musical based on the play The Green Grow the Lilacs, or Green Grow the Lilacs, rather. And which, of course, would later become Oklahoma. So Rodgers offered to write this show with him, and but he had a condition that Hart had to check himself into a sanatorium and get clean, and he would actually write the show with him there and be with him during that time. And Lawrence turned him down. Said that the show was not going to be a success. It wasn't going to work, and basically gave Rogers the cold shoulder. And that really was the start of his ultimate demise, because he lost his only true friend. Anyway, it's a very, obviously a very funny but sad tale, and was a lot of fun to write and direct and act in. It was very challenging, of course, but that truly was my crowning achievement at the university, aside from techies, and I truly enjoyed it. And you may have heard me speak about this before if you've been to any Brown Bag Luncheon lectures live. I had the chance to do this, talk about this show that I wrote in 2020, I believe, January or February, somewhere around there, last year. And it was fun to talk about it to you guys, and I stood up there and did some scenes from it, and I sung some songs from it, performed a little bit of it. It was a good time. So then after that I performed, I graduated and got my degree, but then I performed in a few places here and there in Iowa and Rockford, Illinois, where I was. Nothing too grand, but it was a good time. And then I got the chance to come back home. And while I was back home, I was employed as theater manager here at PACT, which was a lovely experience. A very new experience as well for me. I don't talk to people too often. I'm the type of actor who is an introvert and a bit socially awkward. So when they want you to come out and meet the audience, that's great. That's fine. I will do it, and I'll give it my best and give everyone a big smile and tell them thank you for coming to the show. But normally, an actor will just do his part and walk off stage and go to the dressing room and take off his makeup. Maybe see a few people at the stage door, if they stayed to talk to you. Audience members stayed to get your autograph. Sometimes that happens. But normally we just like to go off and go home and drain ourselves of that character and move on with our day or night. And that's what I tend to do. But being manager at PACT, I had to talk to people. I had to be sociable. I had to be an extroverted introvert. And it really was a fun time and a cool experience. Anyway, but I did some more shows with the PACT as well. And Then There Were None, which is a murder mystery. We did that in 2019. I did Love, Sex, and the IRS, which is a modern farce, and it was very successful, and we had an extended run, which also happened with Shrek the Musical. Obviously, I already mentioned how incredibly successful that was. Then after Love, Sex, and the IRS, we had 39 Steps, which was a show that I directed. A very fast-paced comedy based on a murder. Well, not a murder mystery, a thriller by Alfred Hitchcock. The 39 Steps, if you know that name. It's an old movie, and that's what this play was based off of. But it's funny as heck. It has all these different actors playing multiple roles, like up to 50 different characters each. And Ken Yarbrough was one of those actors. He did an incredible, fantastic job. He's a very funny man. And Trey Minor, H.J. Minor, was the other clown. And then we have Rick Adams, another very popular local, who did the lead role of Richard Hannay, and did that role justice. Did a really spot-on job, as they all did. But yeah, that's been my my time with PAC so far. I totally forgot that I directed the Jungle Book Kids at PACT way back in the day, like 2014 or 2015. 2015, I believe, was the date for that. That was a lot of fun. I co-directed that, I believe, with Morgan Milligan. We both shared the weight for that show. And then recently, like in 2019, we did Willy Wonka Jr., and I had the great opportunity to choreograph that as much as I could. We had a really great time with that, and I also got to be backstage and help out here and there. That was truly a lot of fun. Yeah, and I suppose that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? The pandemic and COVID-19 has totally wrecked a lot of the theater industry. We at PACT had to shut down, go dark for a while now. There are plans for the future at PACT. Pretty soon, we're planning, hopefully, in the September and October months to have something that goes up. I don't want to get into that because who knows what will happen. But we are planning something big, which would be a lot of fun. And it will be a lot of fun if the times allow us to do it. But a lot of theaters have shut down across the nation, across the world, and they have no gauge of when it's going to come back, because an actor talking, speaking, singing, using their diaphragm to project releases so many particles in the air that it's hard to do a show now. And people that do film and television, it's a little different because they can pay an actor to be in a private location or a hotel or some sort of thing for a few weeks until they're all cleared of the COVID. No one has COVID. Everyone's been tested. Good. We can all isolate now in this one location where it's just us all doing what we do and getting the production out of the way, doing the filming and the like. And that's how that's been running, It's very interesting. I saw a post on Facebook the other day that had the top 5 or top 10 most voted essential jobs and the top 5 or 10 most voted non-essential jobs, which I don't know how they found people to vote. I think it was just a random survey from your everyday Joe, right? And of course, at the very top of the non-essential jobs was artist, which I totally disagree with. During the pandemic, when you had 2 weeks inside, what were you doing? Were you watching Netflix? Were you streaming some sort of service? Those people are actors. Who's filming that? An artist. Who's lighting it? An artist. Right? Who designed the poster? An artist. Who designed the shirt you're wearing? An artist. So, that's my little TED talk there about how people perceive artists. So anyway, yeah, it's been really hard for a lot of us artists, whether we're paid for our job or not. I came home and took the theater manager position. I was no longer a professional actor at that point. Although since then, during the pandemic, actually about a month ago is when it happened, I was fortunate enough to get a call from a producer way somewhere up north. I can't talk about where. Offering me a voiceover role, and I did a voiceover credit for a audio drama production and got paid to do that. Yeah, that was really cool. It's for a very big company, actually, which I can't disclose. But I'm very, very excited to see where that goes. And I don't think I mentioned, but I have done some film work as well, which is a whole other ballgame. Film, whole other technique, and so is voice acting, really. But yeah, I've done some indie horror films, and I actually have an IMDb page that I was fortunate to attain from doing those movies, indie movies. So you can look me up, Jordan Brewster, on IMDb, and you'll see a very small amount of credits that I've done. And what can you do? Are you gonna lose money doing that? Are you gonna do a show at half capacity, or are you gonna stay dark and wait for the time when you can have a bigger audience? A lot of pro theaters and community theaters and the like have gone online, like done Zoom productions, which are very interesting, to say the least. But they have, and some of them have found a way to monetize it. I don't think it's the same as live theater, but it's what we can do, right? Some theaters have even done streamed performances, like stuff they've filmed already, and they show it online for a certain price, and you can stream it. Or they do a live production and film it, and you pay to watch, stream it online, which is another interesting thing. A lot of people have gone and done audio-only productions, like the production company that hired me to do a voiceover. That is something that's really taking over at the moment. Audio productions are really thriving. There's a karaoke app called Smule. Karaoke app. And there's a lot of people that will upload a song from a show, or the whole album from a show, or even make tracks that have the dialogue from shows, scene work. and they've been able to do online productions of shows that are audio only through that app, Smule. So that's really cool. Discord is another one people have been using for video Zoom type shows as well as audio only shows. So it's really been interesting to see how the industry and market is changing. And we'll see even more change now that there's a vaccine and that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens with our Port Aransas Community Theater production in hopefully September and October. I can't say too much, but it is exciting to say the least. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this segment as much as I enjoyed putting it together and talking about these things. I hope you continue to like, share, and comment on our content and support our page and all that we do here. We work really hard on all of it, and we enjoy doing it. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Everybody! I believe! Come on now! I